Hopefully that transition looked kinda cool. I'm sure many of you were not expecting a 14-year-old to talk about this theory, but just hear me out. Under Clash Royale's fun fantasy facade are still mysteries that are unanswered to this day. And even if they are answered, it just sounds like complete. No, just look.
Eventually, with their combined one brain cell, the barbarians found a solution. The only thing that can hold up to the strength of a barbarian is another barbarian.
What the does that mean, Kobe Bryant?
But I believe every detail Supercell gives is deliberate. So today, I will use the evidence I have found that answers everything about the Pekka, and trust me, it gets real dark from here. Before we get into my really cool theory, I want to take a deep dive into how I think everything fits in the Clash universe. There are different cards, and all of them can be different people who can be regenerated by Elixir. Clash Royale takes place inside Clash of Clans many years later, and only the best step inside the arena. I think that's it. Where were we? Oh yeah, where did Pekka's armor come from? Her armor is a bulky, deep purple metal that has intricate carvings on it. So I first thought that it was created by someone like the Master Builder or the Rune Giant, but that wouldn't make sense for a multitude of reasons. It is confirmed that the Master Builder is in Clash Royale. As we can see, he's in the flying machine right here, but his other creations, like the Sparky and his suit, don't look anything close to the Pekka. Rune Giant, as far as I know, only makes weapons, so that can't be it. What if the Elixir made the armor? No, because Elixir is like human blood, except it can regenerate troops at will, but nowhere does it say it could create human beings, let alone an object. Alright, maybe we can see this exact type of armor elsewhere. No, that wouldn't work either, because other than the mini Pekka, there's no seeing this armor anywhere else in the game. Right? Well, if you take a peek inside the evolved Royal Ghost description, this is what his soldiers look like. The exact same armor. Although not exactly the same, it's too much of a resemblance than those bucket heads we call royal recruits. Speaking of, from this information, these soldiers sound most closely to the king's royal recruits, but something funny is that why do they wear buckets on their heads while the spirits wear actual armor? Because it means that this armor was around the time back in the historic days, and it was so hard to make, so rare, that when the royal ghost, aka the original king, died, it couldn't be made anymore. In Clash-O-Rama's Clash of Pekkas, we can see this same armor, not exactly like the Pekka's armor, but close enough of a resemblance too. However, there is only one pair of this armor in Barbarian King's closet, proving my point from earlier. Okay, maybe it looks like Pekka's armor, but she is a massive tank, and she looks nothing like a royal recruit today, and even back then, so who did the armor belong to? Simple. It's all in the name. In 2012, the same year I was born, the Supercell company decided from a fan that Pekka stands for Perfectly Enraged Knight, Killer of Assassins. So, don't get confused, but the Pekka is not the Perfectly Enraged Knight Killer of Assassins, because that means she kills knights, but she's also an assassin herself, which she is the complete opposite of, considering her massive size and low speed. Why does this matter? Because this means that this armor was from an ancient knight long ago, and I am positive that this armor is also paired with the robotic exoskeleton that was made by the Master Builder. In the same Clash-orama cartoon, near the end, it rains on the ground and Pekka starts glitching out and rusting, proving that she is part cyborg, yet uses elements from a past warrior. So to answer the question, yes, Pekka is a pile of armor and a robot at the same time. And that is it for this theory. I have completely nothing else to talk about, and I have solved the mystery of the perfectly enraged knight. Perfectly enraged? I mean, sure, Pekka is a kind soul, and if you get on her bad side, she might thrash you heavily. But perfectly enraged? There might have been something I missed. It just seems weird to be perfectly mad. Maybe it was just a little detail, like her sword, her horns, or just her glowing eyes. Say, what other cards have glowing eyes? Cards like the witches, golems, and spirits. What do these cards all have in common? They have to do with magic. So, Pekka is magic? How does that make any sense? Pekka isn't magic, it just says perfectly enraged. But isn't rage a spell? In the Evo Witch's backstory teaser, it is said that she got slaughtered when trying to protect her skeleton friend named Larry. Another theory, I guess. Anyway, she died at the hands of the Red King, and now Larry wanted to revive her, so he used an enchantment, and look what it did.
A sacrifice.
Life was lost, but life remains. Take our souls and make her live again.
In order to revive her, Larry sacrificed himself and his friends. But what proves that this is a rage spell? Well, once the witch finds out about the sacrifice, she is, of course, emotional because her best friend is gone now and there's nothing she can do about it. But she realizes that all this was the king's fault. And so now she's filled with revenge, hate, and rage. Now obviously, again, Supercell isn't too keen on their own lore. If all witches had to sacrifice themselves, what about the other witches? Yet I still believe that the rage spell is the elixir of a dead, sacrificed troop with one more piece of evidence. The lumberjack has a rage spell in his arms, but you can't really get it immediately when you place down the card. So how do you get it? You have to let the lumberjack die in order to get the rage spell. A literal sacrifice. That's on me. I kind of made that a little bit more dark than it should have been. That's on me. That's my bad. Anyway, there's more, however. Check this out. The same troop lumberjack was probably drunk and was cutting down a tree very harshly. But when he finished, he poured his rage spell onto the cut log. And because of the rage spell, the log comes to life and wreaks havoc on the town. We're talking about the same 2 elixir spell in Clash Royale. It's all connected. Alrighty then. So basically, I guess someone dropped some dead elixir or a rage spell onto the Pekka and then she came back to life. I mean, that would explain the glowing eyes, but where did the rage spell come from? And if the Pekka was brought back to life by the rage spell, she'd have to be angry towards some person. I mean, that's a common pattern. It's not like she has many enemies. Sure, she has beef with the Mega Knight, but The Pekka was made long before the Mega Knight even existed, so who could she have been so hurt about, so hateful about, that she couldn't just let it slide? Pekka isn't really a hateful person, right? Unless you get on her bad side. In this picture, in this season's snippet event, we can see she isn't really remorseful that she just killed a beloved father. She just seems emotionless. And in Ronin, the last chapter, as soon as she gets called into battle, she's locked in, her eyes glow again. Mach 10 into Ronin gets this massive impact frame and her own full fight with him. You can't tell me this isn't planned out. And even if you think it isn't, like, oh, it says Mega Knight first, that means it's completely random. But that just proves my point further, as Clash Royale had the chance to swap in Pekka, which people don't really hate that much, with Mega Knight, which dominated the meta for years. Now, another roadblock is that Ronin's family does not seem threatening at all in the slightest, but they definitely could have been. The definition of a Ronin is a samurai without their respective master, and samurais who are known to be peaceful were once, and sometimes before, power-hungry conquerors, taking over lands and such. And you know what the Pekka's armor looks like the most? Samurai knight armor. So, with all the evidence we found over the past 10 minutes, I have one more question for you. Why is the Pekka a female? I'm not being sexist, I swear. Realistically, females were not fit to be knights back then. Sure, we have the Guardian, but her armor doesn't really have nipples, does it? This means whoever was the original owner of the armor was a male knight. And so now I'm going to explain my entire theory in this next part. I know this part was very short-lived, I understand, but this is going to be a long one. So grab some popcorn, sit down, relax, and enjoy. There was once a brave, loyal knight who would do anything for his liege, which present day is the royal ghost. The knight gets put into what the king deems the Great War, where they had to battle a group of power-hungry samurais. The knight puts on his armor and heads into battle, only to witness the death of his fellow men one by one. The knight is scared, but he is brave enough to try to run from danger into the forest, where he hopes to get a sneak attack on. That is until he trips on a vine and falls deep into the forest. The hard crash of his armor bangs into his body. The knight is in horrible pain. He screams for help to the top of his lungs, but nobody comes, other than the nature spirit themselves. Like I say every single time, everything is deliberate. There is a nature spirit because every spirit has their respective spells. Fire spirit has the fireball, ice spirit has the snowball and freeze, yada yada. And even if it got deleted, technically the heal spirit has the heal spell. So if the vines exist, why not the nature spirit? The supposed war is over, and the nature spirit for the longest time protects the armor, yet the man has been dead for many ages. See, the nature spirit loves all things beautiful and fun, but can't stand the idea of death and tragedy, because that is the opposite of what the nature spirit wants, which is why they never arrived outside the forest to witness the many deaths of troops. But now that the coast is clear, the nature spirit decides to finally make their move. The nature spirit transforms into a butterfly and tries to tell a young, curious, and joyful villager, like the one in Clash of Clans, about the armor. And the villager happily agrees, yet as she's following the butterfly, she trips over the same vine, falls, and dies near the armor as well. The nature spirit is distraught. This is the opposite of what they wanted. They only wanted to help. And that's when they decide to right their wrongs and use the dead elixir from the girl to revive both the ancient warrior and the woman herself. See, although a rage sacrifice can revive a person, the other is always a part of that sacrifice, like how we can see the Callery on the witch's staff. That is also why the Pekka has a male voice, but is a female, because they share two souls. The pile of armor comes to life and slowly follows the butterfly all the way to the village, until the villagers can find her and fix her up. However, the remaining villagers did not know what happened to the girl, and so they panicked and grieved. And that is why the villagers never go into the forest ever again, and instead cower in fear in the town hall. They always clap towards their fellow ones to ensure they never get depressed and go towards their deaths. The nature spirit knows all this, and it still cannot live with itself for what it did. And that is why they always hide, but on rare occasions, they fly around the village, making sure everyone is safe and sound. And the Pekka always tries to chase it again, either from eternal gratitude or from the grave mistake that they made. And that, truly, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of my theory. Thank you for... Oh my god, I forgot about Mini Pekka! No, we're not doing this. I have spent a week on this theory. I'm fine. I do not think the Mini Pekka is the Pekka, because the Pekka is the Mini Pekka's mother, and the Mini Pekka does not necessarily like what the Pekka wants. I do not care if you didn't understand that. Since Mini Pekka was created after Clash of Clans, I believe that the Pekka with remaining armor wanted Mini Pekka to be created, and that she shares a part of her innocent soul with him, like you see in this photo here, keeping him safe like a kangaroo, unlike being followed by a flying pancake or whatever. Also, there are many other cards, like the Night Witch and the Mother Witch, which have blue eyes, and since the Mini Pekka has blue eyes, and the Mother Witch and the Night Witch are copies of the regular witch, that means Mini Pekka is a copy. And I don't care about the console. It's like maybe a plaything or an umbilical cord. I'm done with this theory. There is no flying pancake. Hey guys, thank you for watching my theory. I know it wasn't the greatest, but this is my first one, and I hope to make a little bit more in the future, hopefully. And if you liked it, that's great. I'm gonna make more. So, but yeah, I also make different types of content, so if you would be so kind to check that out too, that'd be wonderful. Have a good day, have a good evening, and have a good night. See y'all.